All right, hello everyone. Today we are talking about riding with short reins, and I see a lot of videos from you guys, and a common theme that I see with a lot of you is that you ride with your reins way too long. And I know that for many of you it's like you want to be gentle with your horse's mouth, and of course you always want to get them to go forward, but you'll actually find that riding with a shorter rein will help you to establish a better contact, and it will also help you to keep your position and your horse better organized. And be sure to give me a thumbs up if you like this, and check out the links in the comments. I also have a workshop on contact and connection if that's something you're struggling with. So the first thing that's important to understand is how to keep your rein short, because what happens a lot of times is that your horse kind of gets strong or pulls and you inadvertently let the reins get through your hands. So the way that you keep your rein short is by pushing with your thumb onto your pointer finger, and you have your rein between your pointer finger and your thumb. So this allows you to keep the reins at one length. If you have reins that have stoppers, that's really helpful. Or I also like the reins that are made of thick rubber. If you just have a slick rein, it's really hard to keep your rein short. So you get some that have stoppers, and then push with your thumb and your pointer finger, and then this allows you to still use the rest of your hand, so you can still be like suppling with your fingers and moving your wrist, but maintaining that rein length. So a lot of times if you don't have this, then your reins get long and then you shorten them, and then they get long and then you shorten them, and then that can be really confusing and also frustrating for your horse. So I'm just going to walk around, and this horse is like, he's very sensitive to the contact, but when you shorten your reins up, so one thing that's important is that if I'm walking along here and I'm kind of on a medium length rein, when I shorten my reins up, you always want to shorten your inside rein first. So I kind of put both my reins in my right hand, and then I slide a little bit down my left hand to get the rein shorter. I always shorten the inside rein first so that my horse is looking to the inside. If you shorten the outside rein first, your horse is going to counterflex. Now, when I shorten my reins, I put my hands forward first. So what you don't want to do is you don't want to just shorten your reins and pull. So let me show you what happens. If you just shorten your reins and then pull your hands right back to where they were, your horse is just going to stop. So you want to get your reins short, and then you gradually want to take contact and add a little leg to push your horse to the contact, and then gradually get your hands back to the position that you want them in. So now I feel like, okay, I have a good rein length for my horse. When I'm riding in general, I want my hands to stay in front of the saddle. So like I have this little fuzzy pad here, and I kind of think about my pinky fingers touching the fuzzy pad, and my hand is staying out here in front of the saddle. If you find that your hands are like back here on your thighs, then that's a really clear sign that your reins are too long. So you want your hands to stay here. And what this allows is that when you have these shorter reins and your hands together and in front, it allows you to really ride from the leg to the hand. So like on the circle here, I'm really thinking about that I'm riding my horse from my leg into my hand, and that my hands are just staying up here. So I have a steady contact, I have a steady feel of my horse's mouth, but my hands are staying forward feeling, and I'm really riding from my leg to my hand. So a good image to think about is that feeling when you're pushing a shopping cart in front of you. That's the feeling that you want when you're riding, to get that feeling of forward feeling hands. So what I see happen a lot with you guys is that your reins are too long, and then your hands are like all over the place. So when you're turning, your hands are like here, and then also, like, let's say that you want to stop your horse, you have to do this to stop your horse. So when your reins are long, let me try it again. When your reins are long, it uncenters your position. So every time my hand does this or any crazy thing, it makes me top heavy and it makes me lose my balance. So like if I'm like going like this to turn and leaning, then that really puts me out of position. Good boy, Ozzy. So if I can just shorten my reins, I'm not even gonna pull more on him than I was, but just simply by having a shorter rein, it allows me to be much more subtle about my correction. So like here, I'm just a little bit asking him to turn with an opening rein aid, so you can see how my hand is going towards the middle of the circle to help to turn him. But it's a pretty subtle rein aid. So having these short reins allows you to have the same effect, but just to be much more subtle about what you do with your hands. So if you can think about like your hands kind of staying in a smaller box, that's going to help your horse stay in a smaller box. And certainly on a greener horse, you might have to at times kind of leave the box and help your horse to turn. But in general, you want to keep your hands about hip width apart and minimize how much you're actually doing with your reins. And then let me show you a little bit the canter as well, because I think that the canter is one of the gaits that many riders have trouble establishing a nice contact. And again, I'm thinking of, okay, I'm going to shorten my reins, but I'm going to put my hands forward up by his mane. I'm not going to pull back. And then I'm going to keep my hands hip width apart and just do little adjustments with my fingers if I need to turn him or flex him a little to the inside or make him a little bit more supple. Now what happens if you're cantering and your reins are too long is a lot of times like your hands are flopping around like this, or you're inadvertently kind of bumping and then giving and bumping and giving, and so you no longer have a steady contact. And you can see this horse, he gets a little bit lost. And then if I want to turn or do something, I have to do so much with my hands that it throws me off balance. And I mean, I'm pretty good at handling a longer rein, but if you're just starting out learning how to ride and you feel like you're losing your balance, shortening your reins and keeping your center a little more organized is going to help you. And again, whenever I shorten my reins, like if I'm going to shorten my right rein here, I put both reins in my left hand, I slide my right hand down, and then I slowly take contact. So you never shorten your reins and just pull back on your horse. It's always like gradual and respectful, because remember that you have a bit in your horse's mouth, and you know their mouths are very sensitive and there is metal in their mouth. Good boy, Ozzy. So let me just show you quickly how to shorten your reins. So the correct way to shorten your reins is that if you're going to shorten your right rein, what you're going to do, you have your hands like this. To shorten your right rein, you're going to put both reins in your left hand. I usually just hold it like this with my thumb. You don't have to put it all the way through your hand. And then that frees up your right hand so you can slide down, and then your rein is shorter. And then like I mentioned, you don't want to just right away pull back. You want to first take a little light contact and then use your leg to make sure to push your horse into the contact as you gradually take the contact again. And you really need to get really like practice this, shortening your reins, because a lot of riders, if they're not good at it, when they shorten their reins, they lean forward and lose their balance. And so you really need to get, like when I'm riding, I'm all the time making little rein adjustments, just a few centimeters. And I can do it so quickly and kind of without even thinking about it. So I hope this video is helpful. Be sure to give me a thumbs up if you like this, and check out the links in the comments. I also have a workshop on contact and connection if that's something you're struggling with. So thank you for watching, and let me know in the comments if this is helpful. Okay, the end.